Hello YouTube, my name is Nero, taking some more Call of Duty World War II. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Today is going to be a bit of a different style of video. I've seen a lot of complaints being sent in Sledgehammer's direction over the past few weeks, and since we're about to enter the third month of the game's life cycle, I thought it would be a good time to sit down and have a lengthy discussion about the good and bad aspects of Call of Duty World War II's multiplayer. I want to start this video off by saying I'm not here to hate on the game. I'm not here to be negative for the sake of being negative. I'm not here to swear up and down that the game's the best game ever made. I'm here to take a look at the game objectively and address the criticism that I often see thrown at Sledgehammer, claiming that World War II is a bad game that got old quickly, or is just plain boring. Now, I'd also like to discuss my perspective of why I'm able to enjoy the game so much and why I've been able to play the game so much, and because of that, it's probably going to be a much longer video than normal, a bit of an old school throwback to the older style of video that I used to make here in the channel. So grab a drink, sit back, relax, and enjoy, and let's talk about Call of Duty World War II. Over the past few years, the Call of Duty community has been conditioned to expect their game to be as fast and flashy as humanly possible. We saw that with Infinite Warfare, we saw that with Black Ops 3, we even saw that with Advanced Warfare. And Call of Duty World War II is pretty much the polar opposite of that. It's not a very flashy game whatsoever, it's honestly kind of dull looking. The game can certainly be fast-paced though, don't get me wrong. I think this game is incredibly fast-paced, but when you compare it to a game where you have a robot while running on a spaceship towards the B flag with his outrun themed neon camo, it's hard to say that the game's fast-paced compared to that other game, right? When you compare World War II to other Call of Duty games, I think it's safe to say that we're talking about a pretty fast-paced game here. I would argue, and this is just my opinion, feel free to disagree, but in terms of pace, I think World War II is actually faster than the original Black Ops, Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3, Ghost, Call of Duty 4, and even World at War. The only boots on the ground game I think that is similar in terms of speed and pace would be Black Ops 2, which is widely considered to be one of, if not the best Call of Duty game of all time by a large percentage of the community. A big reason why World War II is so fast-paced is because of the very deliberate map design. Each room has a minimum of 2, oftentimes 3 or 4 ways in and out, and because of that, we have very few power positions on the maps themselves. The game is designed to always have traffic funneling in and out of areas, because Sledgehammer wants fans of advanced movement games to be able to make the transition back to boots on the ground and not feel like classic movement is far too slow and boring. The reception to this, I think, is pretty fair to say has been mixed, right? I mean, the maps in Call of Duty World War II are not the greatest maps in the history of the COD franchise, but I also don't think they're the worst either. I can think of many worse maps in the Call of Duty series compared to the ones we saw here in Call of Duty World War II. In fact, I actually did a top 10 where I talked about the worst maps in the Call of Duty series, and I would argue all of those maps are much worse than any map here in Call of Duty World War II. The trouble with the maps in this game is there aren't any instant classics that are very exciting to play on. In Modern Warfare 2, for example, we had High Rise and Terminal. They stole the show right away, and to this day, they are still beloved as classic maps, right? In the original Black Ops, we had Nuketown, Firing Range, and Summit, all of which were fantastic. Black Ops 2 had Raid, Plaza, and Standoff. Even Ghost, which is considered to be one of the worst Call of Duty games of all time, but a large percentage of the community. That game had Octane, Warhawk, it also had Strike Zone. There were lots of good maps in Ghost as well. The maps of Call of Duty World War II just aren't very exceptional, which is a real shame because every multiplayer interaction that we have is on a map. You then combine that with the fact that we only have 9 maps at launch, which is a record low for the Call of Duty franchise, and you can see why so many fans are upset with the game and saying that the game is actually getting boring pretty quickly. In my mind, there are 2 possible scenarios for why this situation actually happened in the first place. Scenario number 1 is Sledgehammer Games honestly and truly thought that the maps they already made for Call of Duty World War II were so perfect that they did not want to dilute the rotation of maps by adding ones to the game that they considered to be subpar. That's scenario number 1. The second scenario is I think they decided that to compensate for them having a reasonably fair supply drop business model this year, they wanted to make their money back by essentially forcing people to buy map packs if they want more variety within the game's multiplayer. Either way, it's easy to see why fans are upset with Sledgehammer. I don't blame fans whatsoever for claiming the game is boring because we only have 9 maps and none of these maps are actually ridiculously good. I don't think any of these maps are instant classics. I'm trying to picture like the future here for like, I don't know, Call of Duty World War 222, which way too many twos in that phrase, where we're thinking about what maps should be remastered. I don't think there's any map in this game that I think should be remastered into another Call of Duty game, and we've had the maps for about 2 months now. They're just not very good if you ask me. The second major point I would like to discuss in this video would be historical accuracy versus fun. I'm hearing a lot of criticism saying that Call of Duty World War II is just boring, it's not a very fun game. Well, that's kind of by design to an extent, right? Call of Duty World War II was designed to be faithful to the Second World War and to not stray too far from reality. This is what the community has been crying out for over the past few years, and the end result has left some fans with more historical accuracy than they can chew, right? They asked for more than they actually wanted. To start, the weapon camos are pretty boring in this game, right? Let's face it, I think we can all be honest about this. I think it's a pretty popular opinion that the camos in this game are ugly and they are boring, and it's not really rewarding whatsoever to actually get them. It's not until after you get your 100th headshot until you actually start seeing some camos worth using, and even those camos aren't exactly beautiful or even historically accurate. I mean, we have bronze camo, gold camo, diamond camo, and all of which are actually dingy and worn looking. Honestly, it doesn't make a ton of sense to me. If we're looking to take a step away from reality for a moment and pretend that soldiers in the Second World War were running around with gold-plated Johnson guns, couldn't we at least make the guns actually be clean and nice looking? This can be somewhat alleviated by the use of certain weapon variants, but this is only one aspect of the camouflage problem here in this game. We also have the chrome camo, which is awarded, if you guys don't know, for completing every challenge on every weapon in the game. This is the big payoff. This is like the ultimate challenge of Call of Duty World War II, is to unlock the chrome camo. It's essentially dark matter from previous Call of Duty games, right? I think it's safe to say that it's pretty underwhelming, especially when you compare it to dark matter, like what we saw back in Black Ops 3. When you saw somebody with dark matter, that camo popped. It stuck out. You thought, wow, that guy has dark matter. He's completed every challenge in the game. When you look at somebody who has chrome, I think by and large, people don't even realize they actually have chrome. A big problem with the chrome camo is plenty of weapon variants in this game come with a chrome finish, which mimics the actual chrome camo itself. The same can actually be said for the gold camo as well. We have all these different weapon variants with a chrome or gold finish, which really devalues actually earning the camos for yourself. Weapon camouflages are supposed to be a reward system, a bit of compensation that is given to you for a job well done, but they don't really feel that way. They don't really feel rewarding until you get gold camo, followed by diamond, and then of course chrome, and even then it's not super rewarding, right? I honestly don't blame Sledgehammer for this. I don't think they're actually at fault. Fans wanted camos to be down to earth and realistic, and that's exactly what we got. Every camo in this game was used at some point throughout the history of war, and they're pretty boring looking because real life camos are pretty boring looking. We don't have any blue tigers, we don't have any red tigers, don't have any fall camos, or heaven forbid flashing pink marijuana camos like people have always talked about. We just have realistic camos that were actually used in various conflicts throughout history, and in fact in the menus themselves you can see what part of history those particular camos are associated with. So it's realistic, it's what we asked for, but at the same time they're kind of boring and they don't feel very rewarding to actually go ahead and acquire. That brings me up to my next point. When talking about reward systems, I don't think we can skip over the giant elephant in the room, the score streak situation. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely adore the score streaks here in this game. I think Sledgehammer did a fantastic job of giving us a wide variety of interesting score streaks to use, despite being limited to 1940s technology. I love using the plane and the fighter pilot. I love that the carpet bombing lets off an air raid siren every time it comes in. I love that they brought back the chopper gunner in the form of the ball turret gunner, which is a really awesome piece of history. I especially love the interesting gameplay interactions that the recon aircraft has with the counter recon aircraft and how the flak guns work. What I don't love, however, is it feels like it requires an act of God to acquire any of these things. Now, a quick bit of backstory. I have played every Call of Duty since kill streaks were first implemented. I was fighting with my friends over who got the call of their helicopter next, long before a lot of people watching this video even knew what Call of Duty was. I have called in hundreds of nukes, I have earned tons of Moabs and chem strikes, I have gotten my 100 kill games running dogs and swarm, I've rolled up on noobs with my mothership. I don't think it's an exaggeration whatsoever to say that I've called in over 50,000 UAVs in my time playing the Call of Duty series, but believe me when I say that score streaks in this game are tough to earn, and when you earn them, they don't really feel as rewarding as they should, given all the effort you had to put forth to actually acquire them. Dominations score per kill has been discussed to death, and I'm not going to re-bring it up here. That horse has been beaten to death at this point, but overall, the cost of streaks in this game versus how effective they actually are just isn't tuned very well in my opinion. Streaks are a non-factor in both Domination and Hardpoint, which you would think those would be the modes where score streaks are actually used the most. The only time anyone actually calls in any streaks in my lobby is when they are running the Requisitions basic training, which I honestly think is bad for the game, because even incredible players have to dedicate their basic training to give themselves what is essentially support streaks, because it's simply not viable to try and get score streaks any other way. Streaks should be reasonably obtainable regardless of what your basic training setup is. There is no reason whatsoever why the fire bombing run, which is essentially nothing more than a napalm strike from the original Black Ops, which by the way was a 5 kill streak in that game, should cost over 1,000 score here in Call of Duty World War II. To put that into context, if you're playing Kill Confirmed, which I think is generally agreed upon to be the best game mode to actually acquire score streaks, you need to kill 8 players in a row, confirm all of their tags regardless of what you're using. It's hard to confirm every single tag if you're running a sniper or like a light machine gun or a semi-automatic rifle, so you have to kill 8 players in a row, confirm all 8 of their tags, and deny a friendly tag just to get what is essentially a napalm strike, which in previous games was a 5 kill streak that required no objective play really whatsoever. As somebody who has completed all the challenges for the firebombing run, I can conclusively say that it is thoroughly underwhelming, and I feel disappointed every time I call it in, because on average, it's good for 1, maybe 2 kills if the other team is stupid and walks into the fire. The same can be said for the mortar strike and the artillery. Don't get me wrong, I love the historical significance both of these streaks actually have and how they were actually a big part of the Second World War, and I actually like how they perform as well. The artillery was a big part of World War. The mortar strike is very similar to the mortar team that we saw back in Black Ops. It's also very similar to the lightning strike that we saw in Black Ops 2. I like both of these streaks well enough, but the downside is they're not very effective here in this game for one reason or another. I think it's because the area of effect on the mortar strike is actually very small compared to previous games, and the artillery, it's good for making sure the opposing team doesn't walk into a certain area, but really all it does is make it so it's going to violently shake the screens of your teammates more than anything else, right? Like, neither of these streaks are actually good for getting kills, and I would argue that most of the streaks in this game are good for maybe 1 or 2 kills, and sometimes they can't even accomplish that. Again, I love the historical significance. I love how the score streaks are actually implemented, but to me, it seems like they're almost underpowered in a way, and then you combine that with the fact that they're incredibly hard to earn compared to previous Call of Duty titles because of score requirement, not skill requirement. There's a very distinct, we have to make a distinction between the two. You can see why so many fans are turning away from Call of Duty World War II and are complaining that the game is actually boring. Kill streaks, or score streaks, whichever you're talking about, have always been a big part of the Call of Duty franchise. It's a reward system that keeps fans interested in playing the game. People still play Modern Warfare 2 to this day because they want to get the AC-130, they want to get the chopper gunner, they want to get the tactical nuke. The same is not true here in Call of Duty World War II. People don't hop on thinking, man, I really want that ball turret gunner, and if they do, they go play a game mode like Kill Confirmed and they have to run Requisitions, which is basically like support streaks. It's not as rewarding if you can die 30 times on the way to actually acquiring a score streak, right? It just doesn't feel that rewarding as compared to previous games. Not to mention, the biggest streak of them all, the V2 rocket, almost seems like it was an afterthought for Sledgehammer Games. I hope I'm not being too critical here, but I honestly think that in terms of all the nuke-style kill streaks in the Call of Duty series, this is by far the most underwhelming. I would argue that the carpet bombing streak that's here in Call of Duty World War II is much more intense and much more cinematic feeling, which is not a good thing. They should really work on the V2 rocket. I love the air raid sirens that we have with the carpet bombing. Why not have that with the V2 rocket? Why not leave the green haze throughout the entirety of the map? Why not change up the maps a little bit? Why not do something with it? The V2 rocket is it's underwhelming to me, and if you look at the rest of the streaks and the camos in this game, they're all pretty lackluster, I think is safe to say, and because of that, there isn't a great reward system to keep fans interested here in Call of Duty World War II. That brings me up to my next point, the leveling experience here in this game. XP earn rates are dismally bad here, and that's partially why it's so hard to earn score streaks in this game, because the amount of score you get in a match is very low as compared to previous years, and the end result is a very long grind to prestige. You may look at someone like me, who is on the cusp of 10th prestige, not even 2 months after the game has come out, and think to yourself that maybe I'm over exaggerating, but keep this in mind. and there's no humble way to say this really, but I'm a pretty good Call of Duty player. I have just under 6 days of playtime. I have utilized the heck out of every single double XP event they've had so far, and I'm also ranked in the top 5,000 in the world for overall score on my platform. I'm a 2KD, 3-win loss, 400 score per minute player, and it still takes me a very long time to level up, despite me winning the vast majority of my matches, going positive the vast majority of my matches, outscoring everyone else in my lobbies most of the time. It's still taking me a very long time to level up, and that's a big problem because leveling up and prestiging is a staple reward system that has been in the Call of Duty series ever since 2007. Requiring casual fans, which I don't think it's fair to call me a casual fan. I think it's safe to say I'm pretty hardcore compared to most, but not everybody's like me, right? More people out there are casual than they are hardcore, and you're basically requiring casual fans, if they're not utilizing double XP whatsoever, to put forth 25 to 35 hours per prestige, which is insane to me, especially considering that while they're putting in all that playtime, they aren't being rewarded with really cool looking camos or score streaks that are very powerful, as I discussed previously. I think the XP earn rates in this game are so low because Sledgehammer wants us to utilize the other XP avenues here in this game, like the ones we get from supply drops, the ones that we get for completing certain orders, and the ones we get from weapon variants. I have two issues with this system. Number one, the XP bonuses on heroic variants do not work properly, and the XP bonuses from variants in general do not work if you are utilizing your divisions properly. So this means if you're using the epic PPSH, for example, and you get a kill with a suppressor while in the airborne division, you aren't actually getting any bonus experience. If you're using a sniper rifle in the mountain division and you hold your breath to get a kill, you're not getting any bonus experience for that. If you get a bayonet kill in the infantry division with a rifle, you're not getting any bonus experience for that whatsoever. And when it comes to heroic variants, they only give you 10% bonus XP when you get bonus XP at all, instead of the advertised 15% bonus XP. I don't want to go into too much detail here, but if you would like to learn more, I could recommend a wonderful video done by Sour Patch Adults. There is a link to that down there in the description. I highly recommend checking that out once you're done with this video right here. My second issue with this new experience system is a lot of it is based on supply drop luck, which is never a good solution to anything. Of course, we do have those special orders that are available, but they give you 25% bonus XP for like 20 minutes, and by and large, that bonus experience is not going to add up to a whole lot in the grand scheme of things. I think by the time we actually reach Master Prestige, it's going to have added up. It's going to be a small percentage of our overall experience, but by and large, I don't think it's actually going to be that big of a deal, and I definitely don't think they should be balancing the rest of the score in the game around us having those 25% bonus XP orders that last for like 20 minutes or so. It just isn't really a very good system, and those are the reasons why I personally think a lot of people are starting to leave the game and are claiming the game is getting boring pretty quickly. I think we're talking about a pretty vocal minority of people out there, but when you're a YouTuber like myself and you hear the same complaints over and over each and every single day, it's hard not to take notice of these complaints. So I wanted to talk about them here in this video, and I think they actually have some valid criticisms. That's the thing. That's the thing I want people to walk away from this video understanding. Everybody's criticism is valid as long as they try to be constructive with it. If you say the game sucks, that's not really a valid piece of criticism whatsoever. If you say the game sucks because you're not feeling rewarded because the score streaks are underwhelming and they're very hard to actually acquire, that's a valid criticism. If you think the game is boring because you're tired of the 9 multiplayer maps that are all pretty lackluster at best, then that's a valid criticism, right? And I want to talk for those people. I try to speak for a lot of the Call of Duty community here in my videos because I do have some more sway, I think, than the average fan, and I do know that Sledgehammer on occasion does take the time to actually watch my videos, so I think it's important that I do bring up these criticisms. I think they should actually work on the reward system here within Call of Duty World War II, but that's not to say I don't already think this game is incredible. The reward system definitely needs some work, as I've discussed at length here in this video, but to me, this is still the best core gameplay experience that we've actually had in a very long time, and I understand a lot of you guys are going to disagree. I know a lot of you are also going to agree, and that's perfectly fine. We're all entitled to our own opinion. I think it's kind of like an afterthought at this point, but the return to boots on the ground has honestly revitalized my love for the Call of Duty series, which may sound dramatic. Really, Nero, your love for the Call of Duty series? You've been making videos for 5 years. What are you talking about? But it's honestly true, guys. My love for the COD series has been dwindling over the past couple of years because in terms of in-game playtime, my most played jetpack game was Black Ops 3. And even then, my playtime in that game is a fraction of the playtime I put into games like COD 4, World at War, Modern Warfare 2, the original Black Ops 2, Modern Warfare 3, even Call of Duty Ghosts I have more playtime in as compared to like any jetpack game. I'm not a giant fan of them. I have alternate accounts that I use for Modern Warfare 2 that I have more playtime in than I do my main account for Black Ops 3, which once again is my most played jetpack game. I made the Prestige Master in Black Ops 3. Sure, I got Dark Matter Camo. I did all of the things, but I still did not play that game as much as I did the previous games because I really don't like the core gameplay mechanics of the multiplayer of the jetpack advanced futuristic Call of Duty games. Specialists and advanced movement just aren't my thing. I come from an era of Call of Duty where we thought it would be impossible for the developers to ever add that stuff to the game. I can remember joking with my friends back in Call of Duty 4 about how it would be so funny if I could put a silencer on my light machine gun or my shotguns. And I also remember being baffled when they actually implemented the ability to do that in Modern Warfare 2. Like back then, that was a giant leap forward in technology, the ability to silence your shotgun, which sounded hilarious to us, right? I played this series for over 7 years before they implemented exosuits and specialists, and to me, boots on the ground Call of Duty will always be the best version of Call of Duty. Everybody is entitled to their own opinion. As I said, I'm not here to say that I'm right and other people are wrong, but to me, I will always prefer the boots on the ground games as compared to the advanced movement games, and if you enjoy the advanced movement games, I think that is awesome. I think you have perfectly valid reasons for enjoying that playstyle, and I can honestly see it. Like, I wouldn't have put as much time into Black Ops 3 and Advanced Warfare as I did if I didn't find at least some fun in the advanced movement and the extra abilities that were available to us, but I couldn't play it as much as I could the older Call of Duty games because I prefer that classic style of gameplay a little bit more. You then combine classic movement, right, which I've already established I freaking love, with the World War II setting, and then you also bring back classics like the Tommy gun, the PPSH, the Kar 98K, the Springfield, the MG4A2, and then you put us in iconic locations like Berlin, Battle of the Bulge, occupied France, and the Soviet Union, and I'm hooked. I mean, don't get me wrong, as I said, the score streaks are harder to earn than I would like, and they don't get as many kills on average as I would want, but the streaks themselves are actually incredible in a thematic sense. Leveling up is slow as compared to other games, but I'm about to reach Master Prestige. I'm probably going to be able to reach it faster than I reached 10th Prestige in either COD 4 or Modern Warfare 2, or 15th Prestige in the original Black Ops, so I'm kind of used to games where you level up slowly. The map count is still inexcusable. I will not even begin to try and make an excuse for why we have 9 multiplayer maps. To me, Sledgehammer Games needs to start fixing the mistake they made by giving everybody Carentan for free as the 10th map, and also giving us another free map before the DLC releases in January. But to me, if the worst aspect of a game is it has a few less maps than normal, then I think we're actually talking about a pretty good game. And don't let me underplay that. I understand we're talking about like 25% less maps than on average, but to me, the maps themselves, while they aren't spectacular, they're pretty good to play on. I enjoy them by and large. These score streaks, while they are hard to earn and they don't really give as many kills as I would want, especially compared to like Black Ops or Modern Warfare 2, they're still pretty rewarding and still pretty fun to actually go for. Overall, I enjoy Call of Duty World War II, and the sales figures seem to actually agree with that, right? Because Call of Duty World War II has already sold over $1 billion in sales, and it's already become the best-selling game of 2017 just a few days after it released. As a result of so many people actually coming back to play the game this year, of course, you are going to have a bunch of people that don't enjoy the game as much, which is perfectly fine, but I think that's why we're seeing so many people being vocal about their criticisms this year as compared to previous years. And don't get me wrong, we had a lot of criticism last year with Infinite Warfare, but it seems like we're having even more this year, and I think that's due to the fact that we have a giant influx of players that are either new to the franchise or are returning to the franchise or what have you. If there's one thing I've learned in my 10 plus years of being part of this community, it's that you cannot please everyone. It's literally impossible. I can tell you guys that to me, Ardennes Forest is the best map in Call of Duty World War II, and I'm sure at least 1,000 of you guys out there disagree with me wholeheartedly. I could say I enjoy Divisions, and I'm sure again that over 1,000 of you disagree with what I just said. I can throw out a bunch of random opinions. Like, for example, I think the Kar 98K Iron Sight needs to have more aim assist. I think you should get 5,000 match bonus for winning as compared to 2,000. I think the combat record user interface needs to be completely overhauled. I think leaderboards should all go by score instead of score per minute. I think Carentan is one of the best maps in the game, and I guarantee none of you guys agreed with every single one of the points I actually just made. We're all entitled to our own opinions, and each person's opinion is just as valid as anyone else's. The trouble with that, however, is Sledgehammer is trying to listen to as many people as possible, and each of those people has a different idea of what is actually best for the game. Certain arguments, like the number of maps is too small, I think is nearly universally agreed upon, but other topics, like weapon balance, XP earn rates, and score streak tuning, those aren't nearly as cut and dry, so it's kind of hard for Sledgehammer to make the game perfect for everybody when there are millions and millions and millions and millions of people trying to play the game at once. I'm actually happy with Sledgehammer's post-launch support so far. This game has had so many issues, so many freaking issues, but they've worked to fix pretty much all of them, and maybe I'm setting the bar too low after dealing with Raven Software last year, which was freaking so bad. If you played a lot of Modern Warfare Remastered last year, then you remember how bad Raven Software actually was. I would argue Raven Software's support of Modern Warfare Remastered was the worst we've seen in the Call of Duty franchise since Infinity Ward's support of Modern Warfare 2, and that's back when like 30, 40, 50 maybe of Infinity Ward staff all left to go form Respawn Entertainment halfway through the Modern Warfare 2 lifecycle. Like, it was really bad last year, but so far, Sledgehammer's doing a pretty good job of fixing problems with this game, and I think they genuinely care, and they are working as hard as they can to deliver an awesome experience to as many people as possible. But the trouble with that is an awesome experience to some people may not be an awesome experience to others, and that's why we're seeing so many complaints for Call of Duty World War II, and again, those complaints are valid. I really do think the reward system in this game needs to be updated and fixed and worked on, but by and large, I think the vast majority of people are still pretty happy with Call of Duty World War II, and it's up to Sledgehammer to continue working on the game to try to make even more people happy with the coming weeks, months, and dare I say years, because who knows if we're ever going to have another World War II game in the Call of Duty franchise. This may be the last one again for a long time, and if that is the case, then we may have another situation on our hands where people play this game for years and years and years to come, the same way they've played Black Ops 3 for the past couple of years. We're going to have to see, ladies and gentlemen, but for now, that is all I have for you guys here in today's video. I would love to hear your thoughts down there in the comment section below. What are your thoughts on the current state of Call of Duty World War II? Leave your feedback down there. I would love to hear what you guys think, and be kind to one another. I hate when people like start raging at each other for disagreeing. We're all entitled to our own opinions, and everyone else's opinion is just as valid as yours. If you have a criticism, voice that criticism. Offer some constructive feedback. That's the number one thing they keep saying over there at Sledgehammer. When they're looking for feedback, all they want for it is to be constructive. That's all. You can complain about anything you want as long as you offer some constructive feedback. That's all they want to hear. So leave your feedback down there in the comment section below. I hope you guys all enjoyed this video. This was much longer than I thought it was going to be. If you did enjoy the video, please drop me a rating. I hope you guys all have a wonderful day.